I'm attorney John Kim, Kim Associates. In this video today, I'm going to be speaking to how do you get your children or custody of your children in a divorce action in Oklahoma. Custody and family law courts in Oklahoma is really about what's in the best interest of the children. Now that's a very broad term and has different applications and potentially different meanings based on which judge you're in front of. However, family law is a court of equity, and the court is first and foremost looking at what is best for the kids. Not what's best for the finances, not what's best for the interest of the parties, but what's best for the children. And so keep in mind as you're developing a narrative and a plan on how to seek custody of your children, building a story or an explanation of how the children living with you or in your household would be best for them, not just what you want. In the process of seeking custody of your children in a divorce case or a paternity case where you're not married to the other parent of your child, it's important to build a powerful narrative. And part of the way you do that is by bringing in other elements, witnesses, and information that can help the court recognize that you have a more powerful claim to being able to give the best interests of the children by being the primary custodial parent. So what are some of the things that you do for that? Well, first and foremost, kids are like any other person. They need shelter, they need food, they need water, and there are other needs in their lives that you must address. So first and foremost, it's important to be able to identify a safe place that your children can sleep at night. If you have the ability to with your living arrangements, it's important to have their own private space, their own bedroom if possible, if not a space in the room that they sleep in that is theirs and theirs alone. Also, it's important to have a safe household. Consistency in a place that you rent or consistency in a place that you own helps the court identify that you have developed a safe place for those children or your child to sleep at night. Next, other basic necessities, food and water. It's important to have running water at the home that your children will be living at. It's important to be able to document that you have groceries or that you provide for the basic needs of children, whether it's infants that have differing needs from a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, or obviously a teenager that few of us can ever understand. But if you have an infant child, it's important to recognize that there's more things that a child of those tender years needs than a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old. And making sure that you have access and a plentiful supply of those things that a minor child would need in your home to address the needs of that specific child. Next, it's important to have a plan. If you're seeking to have primary custody of your children, it's important that you have a plan for what the day, the week, and the months will look like. What is your work schedule? What other requirements or obligations do you have that may impact when you can be at home, when you can pick up the children, when you can drop them off for school or pick them up from school or daycare? And being able to show the court that you have a plan for the morning time, during the school day or the daycare period, for after school, the evenings, and the same thing, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That you have a plan that you and your household can live by to ensure that the children have everything that they need day in and day out. Now, Oklahoma family courts are not only a court of equity, but a court that seeks the best interests of the children. And that's not solely the best interest as far as being with one parent or the other. Because the law presumes, and the courts have said time and time again, it's in the best interest of children to have both parents in their life. Now that doesn't necessarily mean equal access to children. It does not mean that the courts prefer week on and week off visitation, where the kids sleep at your house for a week straight or the other parent's house for a week straight. Nor does the court presume that a 3-4 split is the best makeup, where it's 3 overnights at one house and 4 overnights at the other. What the court and the statutes and the case law have found about best interests of the child as far as relationship with both parents, it's that both parents have a substantial relationship with the child or the children. Now that can be weekend visitations, that can be extended visitation schedules, or it can be up to 50-50 visitation. It's important to identify a plan and how you intend to follow through with that plan for visitation and how you're going to balance the requirements of raising a minor child with your other obligations, including work and other activities that you participate in. There's no one right or wrong way to build a story and to support your claim for being primary custodian in Oklahoma. But it is important to start with the foundational building blocks of what a child needs and then build up from there with the details of their life. Keep in mind that children of a tender age Newborns, 6, 12, 18, 24-month-old children have different needs than older kids. We encourage you to visit our website, jpcannonlawfirm.com, and under the family law section we have visitation schedules, including a common infant visitation schedule that's used in our state. Review that and look at how that may apply to you and what you can do to argue for or against that potential schedule and how it may benefit you in your case. When you get beyond the age of 2 years old, things change for kiddos. They have different expectations, different requirements, hobbies, sports, friends, school, after-school activities. As a parent, I can tell you the list goes on and on and on. And it also changes as children get older. So after you've built in the foundational blocks of taking care of the needs of your minor child, it's important to have a plan for how you're going to support and improve the life of your children outside of that 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 time frame if they're at school or childcare. How you do that is by developing a plan and a schedule for how you're going to live week in and week out with the minor children at your home, how you're going to afford the needs of those children if you're now a single income home, if you're separated from your spouse, and then to work with an experienced family law attorney to help you in building a narrative for how you can support that in front of the court. One of the most important early phases of a family law case is the temporary order hearing. We've got tons of videos and contents about that to go at a deeper level. One thing important to keep in mind is that at that early phase of a temporary order hearing, the court often will set the visitation schedule for your children and your households for the entirety of your divorce until a trial, or you reach an agreement with the other party. I'm John Cannon, owner and founder of Cannon Associates. Please feel free to visit our website for more information or call us for a free and confidential meeting to discuss your case.